I feel like any effort that one puts into life, whether it's composition like your wife, or narrating something, or playing the violin, or conducting, or studying physics, those are all things that make us who we are.
I'm kind of falling in love with being in San Luis Obispo. I can't imagine leaving. And yet, the 2023 Festival Mozaic is just about at an end. And I'm really happy to finally be sitting down with the artistic director, Scott Yoo. Scott.
Hey.
Great to see you. Doing wonderfully.
So nice to have you.
My pulse rate is really low. I'm really relaxed and comfortable in the proper SLO vibe, I think. Now.
It's kind of the way it happens here. Everybody just relaxes and has a good time and enjoys a little wine and go to the beach and enjoy life.
Enjoy life, enjoy the setting, and enjoy some great music.
There's some nice music here too, yeah.
So
a little bit.
What makes Festival Mozaic so special for you?
I've been doing this since I was 31 years old, and I've built up a lot of memories here. I bought one of my cars here. It became a hobby. I didn't meet my wife here, but I invited her here before we started dating, 4 years before we started dating. I think that just seeing my friends, they have kids and they're toddlers and suddenly they're going to college, and I don't know, it just feels like you're reminded of what it is to be a human. We're part of this life cycle that spins around a couple of times, and then you leave this earth, and it's nice to spend a little of that time here.
Some special moments and marking the transitions of life here in San Luis Obispo.
Definitely.
I'm curious about this venue that everybody is talking about and telling me about, where the final concert is going to be happening tonight.
So this year, we inverted the festival. We usually have this concert first, but we thought, you know what, let's try it last. So this is a concert in Shandon, California, and it was owned by William Clark. William Clark was the National Security Advisor to Ronald Reagan. So he was a very important person in government. He was the Interior Secretary. He was a judge in California. We all called him Judge Clark. He owned a lot of land. The family still does, and they're very big supporters of the festival. Judge Clark was very pious, and he wanted to build a chapel on his property, a working church. And so they basically raided the warehouse of Hearst Castle and took a piece of stained glass here, and I'll give you a tour later, a piece of stained glass here, and a ancient 14th century door there, and the ceilings were Spanish from the 15th century. I mean, so you're
Hearst Castle, which is just up the coast here in California.
That's right.
Like less than an hour drive.
That's right. Well, from there, less than a half an hour.
Okay.
Very close. And so, he thought, well, I'm not going to build an old church in, the early 2000s, late 1990s, but I'm going to build an old church anyway. And so he built this building that is both brand new and completely old. And it has fantastic acoustics. And so we thought, okay, why don't we do a Baroque concert there? And then it just sold out every single time, and I know that it sold out tonight. And I know that the summer solstice is the beginning of summer, but for me, the Chapel Hill concert in my life is kind of the solstice, because you see the sunset, and it's very life-affirming.
You're curating the music and also the people who play the music. You choose the musicians. And I'm curious about one of your younger artists, who was one of our young artists in 2022, cellist Sterling Elliott.
Sure.
Tell me about choosing Sterling to
Well,
come to Festival Mosaic.
You said that I choose the artists, but actually the artists really choose themselves. In 2021, our artist in residence was Abigail Kralik, who's one of the real rising star violinists in the world right now. And I told her, okay, what do you want me to do, Scott? Do a concert, do any concert you want, some kind of a chamber music concert. Okay, well, who am I playing with? Whoever you want. You just, it's a tabula rasa. You just do whatever you want. And so she hired Sterling Elliott, and everyone in the audience, young and old, up and down, everybody loved Sterling. And so we kept our eye on him, and we thought, okay, let's get him to come in the summertime for the main event. And he's been wonderful. We just played, a couple of days ago, we played the Mozart D major viola quintet, and he was just such a sweet, gentle soul, and he has the energy of a, whatever he is, 22-year-old, but he has the soul of a, of a grandfather. He's got both.
An old soul with young energy.
Yes, yeah. and anyway, I just love him, and so we don't pick new artists very often because people who are here tend to want to return, and so we only have a certain amount of slots here, and so when we have an opportunity to hire somebody new, it's kind of a momentous occasion, and I'm glad we gave that spot to Sterling because he's just terrific.
Scott, I know this is ancient history for you now, but you and I have never had a chance to talk about your finger injury, which led you to majoring in physics at Harvard and then returning to music and playing the violin. Are there any lingering effects? Which finger was it, first of all?
It was the index finger of my left hand, which used to be my strongest finger.
So on the violin, that's utterly crucial.
It's very important. And I had gotten into college on December 15th, and so had my friend, and we were celebrating, and we had a sleepover, and we stayed up too late, and then we just kind of passed out, and my friend was stumbling around, and he stepped on my hand, and it broke my finger. And we're still good. I mean, I was a groomsman in his wedding, so I mean we're still good. But he felt terrible about it, and then I couldn't play for about 6 months. And so when I was applying to college, it was right when I was applying to college, and my violin teacher at that time, Dorothy DeLay, she said, "Are you coming to Juilliard or not?" And I just didn't feel comfortable saying I'm going to Juilliard when I couldn't play the violin at all. All of my calluses on my hand had fallen off from disuse. So I ended up going to Harvard. I majored in physics because I liked physics in high school, and I quickly learned that my threshold as a physicist might be, if I was lucky, a high school physics teacher, if I was lucky, because I realized that I was just so vastly outclassed. I'm a smart person, but the people who were my classmates were brilliant, and I was outclassed by them. And so it was really, it was a very humbling moment to realize, and it's fun. I mean, when you sit next to somebody who's a freshman and you are a senior, and she's teaching you how to do some kind of differential equation problem that you spent 2 hours on, she hadn't seen yet, and she's explaining it to you, you realize, okay, well, this is great. That person is going to do something in that area, and I'm going to do something in my area, and I can't do something in that area because I'm just simply not smart enough to exist in that space. I don't know. At first, when I was a freshman, I was very threatened by that. I thought, oh my God, I guess I'm not very smart after all. And then by the time I was a senior, I thought, well, I'm just not very smart, but that's okay. It's, you just accept it, and it's fun.
We never know how things are going to turn out in the long run. Is there any way in which having a physics degree from Harvard has turned out to be to your benefit in the long run in life?
You know, I feel like any effort that one puts into life, whether it's composition like your wife, or narrating something, or playing the violin, or conducting, or studying physics, you know, those are all things that make us who we are. And I had the good fortune of not skipping physics class when Claude Cohen-Tanucci, who was a Nobel laureate, came and was a guest professor for us for a week. And he was a little bit hard to understand because he was speaking with a French accent, but I realized there are so many, the way he explained a certain physics problem, it was about special relativity and how things look from one perspective versus another. If you are standing stationary looking at something going by you near the speed of light, it looks a certain way. But if you're on that spaceship that's going near the speed of light looking at the stationary person, they look weird and stretched out and funny. And I realized that, wow, there are so many different ways of looking at anything. There's so many viewpoints of the same, you know, piece of music, the same math problem, the same political problem, whatever. And I don't know, that was a very eye-opening thing. You know, my upbringing was Asian, and my father was Korean, and you know, it's work hard. And my mother is Japanese, and you know, it's, you know, work hard, don't stay out too late. But when you go and meet somebody like Mr. Cohen-Tanucci, you realize there are many different ways of thinking about physics or about life.
Many legitimate perspectives. Yes. The conductor's view is different from the concert master, is different from the tuba player, right, and is different from the percussionist, and they're all legitimate perspectives on this. So. We're going to have to go share some beverages and continue this conversation. There's a lot more here, but we got to wrap up this video for the moment. Scott, I have to tell you how grateful I am that myself and the PT crew have been invited to San Luis Obispo to experience Festival Mozaic firsthand.
We're grateful. It's an honor for us.
Well, both perspectives are legitimate.
That's true. Yeah, we're all very grateful to you and to Megan and to your team. I mean, they've been so, I don't know, just, they're very elegant people that you have around you.
And this is an amazing place and an amazing festival, and can't wait to share audio highlights on the radio and online, and so glad to be able to speak with you in person.
Thank you so much,
Scott.
Child.
Thank you.